So C went to Atlanta. Wow. I was in DC for not the main. I was there during the Million Man March, but I wasn't actually in attendance.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
I was at homecoming.
Go for it.
I just one question. Did you go to the Million Man March? I did not.
Did anyone in the room go to the Million Man March?
I went to the Million Man March.
Oh, how was it? Tell us more.
Wait. Besides OG, did anybody else?
I wish I would have.
No?
I went to the 10th anniversary, so I was like...
Y'all was probably still a little young.
Yeah. So I was in DC, but I didn't actually go. Okay.
So I went to the Million Man March, but I probably will never go back to the Million Man March.
Why?
Because the Million Man March was a perfect opportunity for change.
Right.
Instead of rhetoric. It was
right.
a bunch of rhetoric. You know what they were doing? They were passing a hat.
Okay.
Taking donations.
Right.
And I asked the question, what's the donation for?
Yes.
Right? And I didn't get an answer.
No.
So I put it under the damn hat.
No.
Right? But also, it was a perfect opportunity for change instead of rhetoric. Because at the time, we could have had people that were out of work. Some people could have been there setting up jobs. People who needed benefits. They could have had, if you got 1 million people, sign up.
Registering people
to vote. Registering people to vote. There were other things that you could have been doing besides talking to folks. Because talk is goddamn cheap.
Yes.
Start doing something. I will never go to another march if you are not being about your business. And your business should not be talking to me. Your business should be help me get to where I need to be.
Action.
Yes.
Action. I will never go. I will never support that ever again. So all the people sitting around with Minister Farrakhan, taking pictures. Get your ass up. I need a job. Tell me what I need to do. I'm hiring. How many people are plumbers? Because I'm hiring. Do you live in the area? Why didn't we do that? Why didn't we say, you know what? We are an investment banking firm right now. Let's start an investment banking firm. This is what we need from you. X, Y, and Z. Let's put your money together and we'll do this. If you're a contractor, we can have a construction company. That's how you do things with 1 million black men standing there. You did nothing but continue to talk. You brought this little boy up here to come and talk to us. What's this little boy know about our life as a grown-ass man? All these on pontificates, he don't know shit about being a grown-ass man out here struggling. Right? So don't give me no more speeches. I was so through with that shit. Yep. And every time somebody says, you going to the Million Man? Hell no. The Million Man March need to come to me. That's important to me. And what's important to me is, do I need a job? And I got 500,000 people out here out of work. What can you do today?
We marched from, when we went to the Millions More March was the 10th anniversary for the Millions Man March. We marched from Howard, we got to the mall, we listened to all the speeches, and then it's over, and then you go home.
Nothing.
There's no follow-up. What's up, so now that we've heard all these speeches.
So here's the thing. The Million Man March happened 20 years ago. Minister Farrakhan...
Give us a history. Go ahead, girl.
Marched, according to him and his people, close to 2 million people in DC. The national reported news report was that it was only about 500,000. So there's just discrepancies. Whatever. The point is as such. They were supposed to be marching in peace, and so Farrakhan gets up and gives this whole speech about whatever it is that we need to be doing and all of this. And so OG is making a point and Sloan is making a point that on the 10th and 20th anniversaries, there are things that could have been happening that weren't actually happening. So for all the rhetoric and all of the hearsay and all of the, we need to go to the Million Man March, it was more of a, let me be there so I can be with my Greek organization and take a picture and post it on Instagram. Or, let me go so I can just say I went, because there was no real change that happened. And I remember, so I didn't actually attend. I was in DC and I was just like, I have no connection to this. And I felt really bad at first that I wasn't going, because I was just like, I don't understand what the point is. Everybody I talked to seemed like they were going just to go. And it wasn't like we're going to do this while we're there. Yeah. And so, I had a bunch of friends that went.
That's why people get tested.
They bought T-shirts. And they put money in a hat. And they took a picture and posted on Instagram. Yep. But I didn't see, there was no media coverage. It really messed me up that it was just we have all these people here. And like you said, there was not a single tangible thing that you can pull out of that experience that said, we accomplished this while we were there.
Right.
And it was like, there's black professionals, there's college grads, there's people who need work, there's people who need to get tested, there's people who need to vote, there's people who need insurance, there's people who need jobs, there's people who can provide all those things, and none of it happened. So I was just like, I don't get why I'm there. And all the people I talked to said they left during his speech because he just got real misogynistic. He just went off topic. He was talking about this, that.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Probably used to.
But I mean, it literally not a single person that I talked to said, yo, that was the dopest experience I've ever been to. Most people came away, I was like, yo, how was the Million Man March? It was like, it was all right. I got a shirt. I got a shirt.
Why am I going?
That's literally what that's the consensus. Like, oh, I got a shirt that says legalize black. Okay, cool. What else happened? Nothing.
You just put money in the FO Fruit of Islam's pocket. I'm not doing that. Fuck you. Let's do something else.
So his granddaughter can be twerking at 618 with me. So.
That's what his granddaughter doing? Stop it. Stop playing. Where's granddaughter go? Howard?
Don't do twerking like that.
Oh, yeah.
What's wrong with twerking?
We gonna have a session on twerking?
Yeah.
No, not today.
But your grandfather.
There's nothing wrong with twerking, but don't be getting collection plates.
Right.
To fund your ratchet.
To
fund your ratchet and not the movement.
To fund your ratchetness, yeah.
So I don't know. I was disappointed with what I heard. I didn't feel bad that I wasn't there, which made me even more upset. Because I was like, damn, I'm missing it. Maybe afterwards I'll feel some kind of way, and I felt absolutely nothing.
Aren't we tired of marching? Like, after everything that's gone on this past year in full circle, you know, all the protests around.
Girl, my feet hurt.
You know, aren't you tired of marching? Aren't y'all ready to, like, actually see action? Follow up?
Yes.
Question, what can we do?
Honestly, you have to, I think, from a perspective of what's needed, right?
Right.
Because you can't just say, we're going to do something and not know what's needed and be able to go out and actively pursue that in a way that you can see some outcome, right? So you have to look at it from a business perspective, right? What's needed in the industry.
That's the word there.
But what do? They go out, they assess, and then they do, right? If you say, you know what, we need more grocery stores that have more fresher vegetables.
The movement needs a business plan.
Yep.
That's what it is.
And that's what it
did.
And that's what it does not do. It does not. And when MLK went to the lawn, he had a plan. Voting, right? That's what it was about. It was about equal votes, equal rights. That's what it was talking about. So we got to get to the point where we start having action focus.
And then another thing that I feel is like we don't have any great leaders. You know what I'm saying? Like we have people who talk a lot. We have people who talk about a lot of things, who want to be involved in everything, but we don't really have. I can't think of one person who really leads us to real change.
So there's some people who think that we don't, right? Like there's if you get on Twitter and you follow DeRay and Netta and Clint Smith and Sean King, and there's a whole list, right? And they're all like the quote sources of the movement, right? They're the ones that are out there at every protest. They're talking to every family. They're the ones who got the candidates in the room. It's like they're the ones that are leading, but if you look at their tweets and their demeanor, it's like we don't need a leader. Everybody has a part in the movement, and so I'm interested to hear why you think we need one, because I know that there's an opinion that we don't.
But I don't think it's about one leader.
Right.
It's about leaders.
Right.
Because Martin was a figurehead.
Right.
He was not the leader.
Exactly.
Right. There were other people that he spoke for.
Right.
Because there were other leaders at the time.
I agree.
Right. He did not do this by himself. He didn't come up with the grand.
There's Abraham.
They took him and they said, listen, because you are a very good orator.
Yeah, exactly.
We want you to speak on our behalf.
There we go.
But he was not the leader.
Right.
Let's per se.
So
we have to get to the point where you say, okay, look, and everybody has to stop trying to be the man or the woman. Everybody has to start thinking about the community, because that's what it all comes down to.
That's my
is that if we get to the point where, you know what, my name is not at the top of the damn billboard. It's just I'm collectively part of a group of people trying to do better for everybody. It's very different than somebody wanting to take credit for everything. And that's what you have. Is somebody willing to take credit or wanting to take credit for everything. That's why people don't get along, because, you know what, we broke up because we didn't see eye to eye. No, because you didn't get your cut of the money that was supposed to be given to you. So you got upset.
So real quick, you know me, I have to make a book plug. There's a book called At the Dark End of the Street. It's by Danielle McGuire. And it's basically about what you just said, like the lead up to Martin and Rosa being the figureheads of the movement, and that there were so many events, so many leaders, so many people that led up to them being the quote leaders of the civil rights movement. People don't know the actual history of the ground things that were happening prior to that. And so I just feel like there's so much to that. Like, we don't necessarily, everybody wants to see the one person who's at the top. Like, oh, here's the one person who we need to look to, but it's more.
They're looking for Jesus.
Right. Everybody, everybody expects Obama to be the person or.
Well, and I think we've fallen victim to that over the course of our history, right? I mean, there was WDB versus, you know, Booker T. There was Martin versus Malcolm X. Like we've always kind of had this, well, my way is better kind of thing, and I feel like, to your point, OG, we need to, you know, be better about having a collective force around the movement. Well, first we need to agree on what the movement is.
Right.
I think that's the thing. You know what I mean? And
because it's so broad, right? Because there's so many different things that we need to address.
You gonna take over the world, girl?
No, all I'm saying is that I feel like there needs to be some focus.
Miss Pope, can you handle it?
Let's fix it all.
Right.
But, you know, measured. You know what I'm saying? Can we focus? Like, we want to talk about all these issues at one time. And, I mean, I got some great advice that changed my life when I was at my last job. They said, Pope, you want to do it all, but you're straddling. You know, you have one foot here, one arm there, one foot over there, another arm over here. You are not focused on any one thing, so you're not giving your best to anything, and you're never going to get where you want to go because you're dividing your energies in so many different directions. But if you focus in one area and put all your energy into that one thing and give that one thing your best, I guarantee you, as you start to see results, your time will free up, and then you can start to focus on the next thing. And I feel like that's what's missing. There's no focus. We're all over the place. So going back to this collective, if we could come together and pick one issue or a small group of issues that we all want to focus on and push that issue forward, and as that issue starts to move, then we can transition to the next. That's when I think that we'll see real progress. And I get frustrated because I don't feel like I'm involved as I should be. But the reason is because I don't know what to get involved in. Like, there's so many different things that people want to talk about. And I'm like, what is the best use of my time? Like, I don't want to go to the Million Man March and just hear people talk. I don't want to just walk down the streets of New York and then next week it's no longer an issue anymore. Like, can we focus on one thing and see it through? Or at least see change happen before we, jump to the next big topic?
Damn right.
Because I remember last summer was the whole Eric Garner.
I was marching out there too.
Right.
With mostly Latino and white people.
But you also understand, right? Y'all marching out here because the police did something, right? But nobody ever talked about the police knew his name. Did y'all know that?
Yeah.
Like, the police knew his name.
Yeah.
They said, Mr. Gardner, we got to take you downtown. And he said, I'm not going downtown. Y'all keep messing with me all the time. So it's not the first time. No, he did not deserve to die. He did not. But understand,
he knew to get arrested.
But he knew that he wasn't supposed to do what he was doing. But he also knew, and the people knew him. Right? So could he have saved his own goddamn life? Sure. He could have. He could have said, God damn it. All right, here I go.
But we just talked about people going to certain measures they're not supposed to go to because of poverty and because of we don't have the things we need in our community to make a living for ourselves and for our family. And we just talked about that.
But then goddamn it, it's about living. Right? You can't live. If you're not alive, how you gonna help your family? You didn't think he was gonna have an asthma attack, right? Anybody know that? And you didn't know that. But goddamn it, we know we got to be alive in order to fight. You cannot fight from the grave.
What is the real issue? Is it that the police are targeting our communities, or is it that we're so poor and have to take all of these different, directions and avenues to make ends meet, that we're giving them a reason to overpopulate? You know what I'm saying? Like, what issue should we start with? Should we try and start with, getting the police to leave the community and then we kill ourselves? Or should we attack, start smaller than that, break it down into its basic components and fix the issue of our community? there's so many different issues. Like, where do we start?
So for me, it would be education.
Yeah, I absolutely.
So the book I'm reading, The New Jim Crow, it specifically talks about mass incarceration with respect to the fact that we don't get educated the same way and on the same levels and have the same opportunities, and all of these things spiral into we get locked up for a first drug offense, and then you have to be on parole, and you get in a situation where you're around drugs again, and then it's your second offense, and then you're serving 5 years. Then you get out and you have 5, and it's all, literally it spirals into this whole thing. And I think part of it starts with the fact that we don't have access, and we live in certain areas that don't allow us the certain opportunity. We talked about Viola. She said the only difference between women of color and everyone else is opportunity. And that's true for the whole Black community, is that our opportunities are stunted based on poverty, class, where we live, and how we're segmented into certain pockets, and then don't have access to the next level of things.
Absolutely.
So
here's one more thing. I grew up in the ghetto. I grew up same street, same choices. I had a mother and a father that was educated. My father was not part of my life for a while. But I also knew that jail wasn't for me. So I make choices, right? Sometimes I would be hungry, right? I knew the difference between right and wrong. Stealing was wrong, no matter if I'm hungry or not. Because I knew that if I steal, I break my mother's heart, I go to jail. How does that help my mother? Right? We all know the difference between right and wrong. We all know the difference. I don't care what anybody says. And you make choices. And those choices sometimes do not come out the way you think they should.
Right.
Some people go to jail. A lot of people end up fucking dead. Right? Selling drugs was an option. Did not take that because that option I didn't see that as a future. Right. I saw that as a dead end. So you have to understand we all make choices. We all go hungry, we're all cold, but we make choices. So sometimes the choices, and there are a lot more people making those tough choices than the people that you see on TV that don't. And so that's what we have to change. That picture of our culture, like the lady that want to be so ghetto. That's all she sees is that culture. We do not have enough representation of the people that are doing what's right. Because every day I get up and I make breakfast for my kids, right? And I make lunch for my kids every day, and I'm home every day. That's what I do. There are more people doing what I'm doing than you see on TV. I don't care what anybody says. No. I know it for a fact because I deal with other fathers doing the same exact thing.
Right. But so, like you said, you cook for your kids every day and you're a father. I think the real issue is that there are so many kids, like you said, that are raising themselves. So they don't have...
But again, it's still it's the image that they're following, right? So it's the community that needs to... Because at one point, we are a community of people that we're so afraid of everybody, right? We're so afraid to lend a hand because we're so suspicious of the next person coming to take something we got. Listen. You rob me, you know what? I ain't got much shit. So you rob me, what you want, a TV? Fucking take the TV. I work every day. I could buy another TV.
Right.
So you ain't got to rob me. Ask me for it. You understand? So it's you make choices. Everybody makes choices. And I understand what you're saying, but we still have to get to the point where we start taking care of the community. If somebody said, if somebody else would have said, why you treating him in? Somebody would say, Mr. Gardner, just go with him. I'll get you out of jail. If somebody would have said that, would he still be dead? No, everybody was standing around taking fucking pictures. If more people stood around and said, we know you're doing wrong, we're going to help you. Right? You don't have to sell cigarettes, Mr. Gardner. You don't have to do that. I'll help you. What you need to survive.
So I think part of what you're talking about is what Dre was about to hint on at some point, which was about other communities. And so where I grew up, all the Asians work together.
Jewish people.
I'm gonna get to that. I'm just saying they all own businesses. They all employ each other. They all work in their community. Same thing with the Jews where I live. The same thing with the Italians. The same thing with the Italians where I live. Everybody has their own cultural background that they support, and Black folk seem to be the only group who can't get there. Like,
well, I think,
or who haven't fully gotten
but
there.
No. I think that this is a decline.
Yes.
I think this is a decline because I think that back in the day.
Yeah.
I've heard all types of stories from my dad about the neighbor would whoop his ass, and then he would go home and his mama would whoop his ass, and then his daddy would come home. Like, as a community,
now you can't even tell somebody they can't.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like, they try to fight me.
But it's how you tell somebody their child is acting.
Exactly, and then they go crazy. Don't be talking about my child, this, that, and the third. So, as a community, we are not able to share the responsibility. It's like it's all you. That's none of my business. And that's the problem. Everybody wants to say that's none of my business. No, it is your business. Because,
And what you're saying is that's what the difference was with the civil rights movement. Everybody had the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had the same struggle. Right now, we all work. Y'all comfortable.
Yep.
What you gonna do? You going on the street to be uncomfortable? Somebody,
Right.
Somebody ain't going on the street.
No, you're right. I mean, this is pre-civil rights.
I got to go home and feed my kids.
Definitely Jim Crow.
And also think about it. We are, as African American people, we're the only people who were brought here unwillingly. Unless you're like a person like myself whose parents like immigrated here. Right?
So you were brought here unwillingly.
I mean, right. But like, my purpose is Asian communities came here by choice.
No, they didn't.
Indian communities.
Your Hasidic Jewish.
Hold on.
Choice is different because some people had no choice but to go somewhere and make a living.
Exactly.
All right, if you were a refugee, or if you are a person who came from another country that was not, who was at a disadvantage, you chose to gather your small coins and immigrate to the United States of America. Versus,
which is different.
I was chained
and enslaving.
And there is a history of generations before me that have been in chains and enslaved and breeded like cattle in order to make a profit.
Right. And then the
we're not considered human beings.
Right. So there's people who
and so now, the psychological damage to this particular community versus other minority communities is very different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean,
when do we break the cycle?
We haven't broken the cycle.
I'm still waiting for my reparations, and I'm an immigrant. Listen,
but here's the thing.
It's so like we're.
Can you get her?
You know what?
I'm
still waiting on my reparations.
Because I can't sit here.
You gonna be waiting until you collect
You all really ask me how. You know what I'm saying? I'm a product of immigrants. Listen. So my problem is, I hate when I hear like privileged ass stories of struggle. Talking about some,
privileged stories of struggle.
Privileged stories of struggle.
No, that's real.
Go ahead.
That's real.
People complain about shit that just ain't got shit to do with shit.
I complained today. You know what's so funny? Today I was complaining because I was eating my lunch. And it was all these.
You were eating lunch? Go ahead.
Right. And there were all the, listen, this is exactly what
privileged.
I was eating, and all these people came. I was trying to, watch my show and do my thing.
Watch my show. She had a TV. She had a tablet. She had some kind of.
And all these people were around me talking, and I tweeted, and I was like, "Yo."
And she had a phone.
I'm so tired of these people being around me. Blah blah blah. 10 seconds later, I was like, but I shouldn't be complaining because I'm a first world problem right now.
First world
And it was so funny because I was just like, damn, I need to just shut the hell up. Because I was just like, this is not a real issue. Like, I understand where you're coming from. I get it.
But we have first world problems.
We do.
Me complaining about having a delayed flight. That's a first world goddamn problem.
That was a very good point, though. Like, back then, we were able to unify around at least a small set of problems.
Right.
Because we identified the
even
problem.
if we all had different takes on the solutions.
But even like stratification of like just how things are mobilizing right now. Like considering like, okay, I don't have to go to college. I don't have to even really graduate from high school, but I could build a really, really cool ass like tech project and become a billionaire. Whether I'm black, white, Asian, Puerto Rican, or whatever persuasion I am, I can do that. And then the gap is increased, right? Versus a person who might not be in a community or have the resources to even know about any kind of products like that, where they don't even have the resources to be like, I have a great mastermind idea, but I don't have a rich friend's dad who is going to give me the resources to create it.
Because that's where the Million Man March was supposed to come.
Well, right. So like, the Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs and the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world had safety nets. So you know what I mean?
Before the conversation
not just that, like, so I took in my private time, I like to read up about just the Jewish community and
fascinating, right?
Hasidic Jews. And
did you hear about how Ben Carson said that the Jews could have prevented the Holocaust if they had guns?
What you say, Simone?
Okay, go ahead.
Simone, go ahead, Simone.
Sorry, sorry. Quick soundbite. Go ahead.
And so a lot of my mom's friends are Jewish.
I love your mom because she's also
she's a black Republican. She really is. And we debate all the time. But
she's moderate.
Right.
Yeah, she's not a hardcore Republican. She's just her thing is I'm an immigrant that came with absolutely nothing and I made something happen. And so you can't tell me that
it's impossible.
I'm going to, you're going to take my hard-earned tax money to just be home and not doing anything when I didn't get on entitlements and I could have.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm. I guess, but I mean, there could be
with a kid.
Small bit of inability to identify with like the struggle a little bit, because like she's an immigrant, that's a different struggle, that's a whole nother struggle, but she wouldn't necessarily like for the people who need those benefits, like she might not be able to identify with like the sixth cycle that they can't break out of.
Well, no, they grew up very poor in Jamaica. She's not from wealth at all.
I know, but what I'm saying is she came to America to build a life. So her vision of like America is like, I came here and I worked my ass off and I did this.
Like,
why can't you? You know what I'm saying? And so it's a difference.
Immigrations have a different philosophy than African Americans. It's just
absolutely.
It's completely different.
It's definitely completely different, and maybe that's my perspective because I mean I do consider myself a liberal and I do understand entitlements. However, part of me is like, okay, but why can't you just take this job opportunity to build some kind of work experience and then use it as a stepping stone to get to the next
I agree with
level.
you 100%, but I also, I guess, realize that a lot of people don't even have that, like they don't know where to even think like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't I take this step? I don't know the step is there. Like, I don't know what, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, you don't know the step is there, but you know a job is there.
How do I get it?
No,
what do I need
not
to
really.
do? What is
People don't know what to do.
And that's I think what we're talking about here with the march is like people literally don't have the fundamental tools to have that level of thinking. Like I know that's see what's common sense for us because we're working and we have jobs and we're educated. Common sense is not common. We have skills that many other people don't have.
But I even think about like college applications. Like people don't know how to fill that out.
Yeah, I didn't know how to fill it out either.
There's a piece of paper, but you figured it out, right? But
for me, it's common sense to work.
Check this out. To fill out a job application, you have to know how to write, right? You have to know how to read. So if you don't have those fundamental things, and that frustrates you,
I know that.
Like, so there's all these different.
I know there's all these structural.
And they have teachers that are teaching you that you can't get certain things.
There are a lot of teachers in the public system that are just.
I went to Detroit public school, y'all. Yeah. That's all I heard was what I could not do.
You went to Cass?
I did not go to Cass.
Everybody went to Cass.
Or you went to Northern?
I went to King, and then I got a scholarship, and then I went to a private school.
Everybody went to
But you know why? Because somebody told me that I had that opportunity for myself, and they provided the tools that I needed to work hard. I was provided certain things that people in my community, that people in King were not provided, that were as intelligent as me.
Here's I get that. Malcolm Gladwell wrote the book, right? The tipping
Tipping Point, Outliers.
Outliers, right? Outliers is about exposure. That's all it's about. It's about exposure. Bill Gates would have never been Bill Gates if his mother didn't buy a computer to put in his school. He would have never been Bill Gates, where he could spend all his time working on that damn
10,000 hours.
He wouldn't be Bill Gates. Right. Steve Jobs wouldn't be Steve Jobs. All these other people wouldn't be without exposure. Mozart wouldn't be Mozart if his father didn't teach him to play the goddamn piano. He'd have probably been a plumber. Right?
Right.
Come on, plumber.
So you understand it's about but it's about exposure. And it's about everybody having an opportunity. But now not only having an opportunity, but we're talking about people who've been disenfranchised, who've been taught that they can't do something, and then you have a bunch of other people saying the same thing. Yeah. Right? But then you have a few that make it out. How many of them go back? Right? How many of them go back and say, hey, look, guess what I got? I'm ready to take on an apprentice. Right? I'm looking for 3 apprentices. But these are the things you need to do in order to be an apprentice. You got to be on time. You have to, if you can, I need you to be on time. I'll make sure you have breakfast every day if you're hungry. right? And make sure you get to and from work, but you got to be on time. Right. And you got to learn something. So every day we do a test. Right. So those are the things that we don't do anymore. There are no apprentices. And in Jamaica or in other countries, what they have are artisans and work ethic, because generally they come to America.
And what's the stereotype of Jamaicans?
Yo, we got
18 jobs.
But remember, it was a totally black community. So they have doctors, lawyers, artisans, people they have people. So they come with stuff. So your mom, on the other hand, said, you know what, I came with stuff. But then she took advantage of some shit that some other people fought hard for her to have the ability to participate in. Affirmative action was a motherfucker. And a lot of people took advantage of it without saying it. Yeah. And they say, oh, I did it by myself. You did not do it by yourself. So nobody does anything by themselves. Nobody pulls up shit by their bootstraps without somebody giving them an opportunity and exposure. So maybe the moderate understands that.
To just kind of bring this whole conversation to a relevant end would be that y'all are silly. Would be one thing that Ms. Pope brought up was, what can we do? C brought up, what can we do? And so there are little things that we can do community-wide that are just specific. Like this group specifically is about social justice within our community. What are the things that are happening? How can we affect the change? On a very small scale, who can we reach? How can we reach them? To your question, I think we can all find things in our community. One thing we're all doing right now is talking about it, which is somewhat important. Talk is not what we necessarily the action, but I think it's important that we are educated people putting this out there for people to hear, so that people know that okay, we're educated, we're being mindful of it, we're trying to think of ways to brainstorm and make some positive change. Thanks everyone for listening. Follow us, send us emails. We appreciate your feedback. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
All right, bye y'all. Take care.